It's a legal habit we all know is detrimental to our health, but criminal gangs running the illegal tobacco trade are specifically targeting young smokers with cheap deals. Among all smokers, it's causing an extra 4,000 deaths each year, according to new research. Dan Charlo started using his dinner money at the age of 12 to buy illegal cigarettes from sellers to feed his habit.
I always bought them because they're about half price. A lot of ice cream men would just approach them and be like, yeah, do you have any import tobacco or whatever? And they'd be like either yes or no. And yeah, a couple of regulars that come down the road.
And what sort of cigarettes were they selling?
A lot of unknown brands, like from foreign countries, but like big brands as well, like B&H, Amber Leaf, Golden Virginia, Marlboro, whatever.
What is this place?
We posed as a potential buyer, and one supplier in Birmingham told us he could get hold of anything we wanted. Jay is just one example of criminals exploiting young people.
How much?
I mean, £1,900 again.
£1,900?
£1,900.
From the back
for 7 years.
And no brand is off limits.
Well, I'm looking at classics, Rical.
Super King. Super King.
Might be Lambert and Butler.
Lambert and Butler, right.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of stock for suppliers like Jay, but we're losing tax of up to £4 billion a year, the equivalent of building 84 new hospitals.
The idea of 4,000 people a year being killed by any particular form of crime, because that's what this is quite staggering. And the reason for that is because it's leading more people to carry on smoking or take up smoking than would otherwise be the case.
These may look like genuine cigarettes, but these non-UK brands make up 45% of smuggled cigarettes, and there's no legitimate market for them anywhere in the world. Over here, we have counterfeit cigarettes, and they're increasingly flooding the UK market. How can you tell? Well, that's reflected in the price. You can pick up a pack for as little as £2.50 compared to nearly £6 retail. We went undercover on London's streets, and all sorts of brands were easily available.
How much packet?
£2.50.
2 packets. Thank you. Good man.
We took our tobacco to be examined.
These appear to come from Indonesia, from the stamp and the markings. That's the tax stamp, but I would suggest there's a good chance that these are actually counterfeited.
And what about the Benson & Hedges?
They have a Spanish tax stamp on them, quite a good copy, probably in poor quality though, the actual cigarette itself. And this tobacco appears to be Belgian product. I can quickly tell you that, in fact, this is counterfeit tobacco. There's no doubt at all. It smells revolting.
The quality is not an issue for young people, it's all about price. But health experts warn that the number of deaths caused by smuggled tobacco is hardly considered. The government has tried to crack down on the illegal tobacco trade, but the market share reflects that it could be as high as up to 1 in 7 cigarettes smoked is illegal. Despite raising the age limit to legally buy cigarettes to 18 years old, it's made little difference on the streets. We filmed a teenager who was part of a trading standards sting to expose illegal sellers in Tower Hamlets in East London. After he was sold 2 packets, non-uniformed officers moved in to arrest the men. Trading standards officers in this borough say street sellers will take money from anyone.
They'll sell it at £2.50, which is much less than the £5 sold from legitimate shopkeepers. And it will lead children into smoking, there's no doubt.
Trading Standards in the North West carried out a survey on 14,000 children aged 14 to 17. It found 50% of those who smoked admitted buying illegal cigarettes, and 1 in 5 bought from street sellers, neighbours and even ice cream vans. Since Customs started targeting the smugglers, they found illegal tobacco hidden in rolls of paper, furniture and even posted through the Royal Mail.
When we first launched the strategy, we were actually looking predominantly at duty-paid cigarettes that weren't really having the duty paid and being smuggled in. Once we closed that down, we've seen an increase in the amount of counterfeit cigarettes that are actually being brought in. And the reason is quite simply, they're cheap.
Most illegal brands are made in China, but a popular one that's flooding the UK market is Jin Lin.
You got any cigarettes, cheap cigarettes? What you got, Marlboro, Jin Lin?
Yeah.
It's made in Kaliningrad in Russia, specifically to be smuggled. There's no legitimate market, yet we found it being sold under the counter in shops in different parts of the country. The average sentencing for dealing in illegal tobacco this year was under 2 years, compared to 6.5 years for drugs offences.
It's about 4 times more than the number of deaths caused by smuggling of all illicit drugs put together. So that gives you some idea of the extent of the problem. It's killing people in large numbers and needs to be taken very seriously.
Earlier this year, Anthony Thomas Wharton was found guilty of selling counterfeit Regal cigarettes at £3.50 a packet to children from his ice cream van. He was given a 12-month community order. In October, HGV driver Ronan Gerald Hughes was sentenced to 30 months in jail. Nearly 6 million cigarettes were seized at Dover. The illegal tobacco trade is now rivalling the drugs trade in profit, but the sentencing isn't as harsh and hasn't put off criminals like Jay, who told us he's been to jail. Rolling tobacco is his biggest seller, and it's something that's popular with young people.
Well, now, if you want to take some tobacco, I got about 130 packets there for you.
Yeah.
Take that with you.
What you got?
I got to go to Virginia.
Basically, you're saying that the price is the incentive. It's not so much where you get it from, it's how much it costs.
Yeah, it's not even the taste. If they taste horrible, you still save money and you just don't smoke as many a day as you usually do.
The government says protecting children is a public priority, and it promises to continue to crack down on the illegal tobacco trade. But as criminals gear up for their busiest time of year, they have the likes of youngsters like Dan firmly in their sights. Asha Tanna, More 4 News.